Yo, so chapter 114 of Vigilantes is out, and I got some hot takes that I want to go over, because full transparency going into the bar, I think Vigilantes is dragging out this arc a little too much, like it could be overstaying its welcome at this point. So that spicy opinion aside, make sure you're caught up on the most recent chapters of Vigilantes and My Hero Academia, because at one point I think there's just going to be some part at the end where I'm going to address something that I'm going to be talking about for tomorrow's video. Like, I have to talk about that just because of what happens in this chapter. If I go any further, I'm going to start spoiling it. Let's go grab a drink. Alright, welcome to the bar, folks. So before we head over to the wall and I talk about my favorite parts of chapter 114, I kinda have to talk about what I talked about in the intro, you know? I'm not gonna leave you hanging with that. And the truth of the matter is, I really do think that this fight is kind of overstaying its welcome at this point. I don't really see a reason why this fight is going on for so long. Like, it's gotten to the point now where literally number 6 is just a husk of a skeleton now. It's just, he's literally, he's like the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I kind of just realized that there might be an entire generation of people that have no idea what that reference is coming from. You know what? I'm gonna pour this drink and then I'm gonna head over to the wall, because there's no way I'm not gonna make any more references without people not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, so first things first. When I say that number 6 is literally the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, this is the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't.
He's this bad guy from Austin Powers.
Why won't you die?
It has now become so comical how dead this guy is. Like, during this chapter, All For One is cracking up because he's like, dude, this thing is fucking nuts. Go for it, dude. Do your thing. Do your thing. Whew. Look, I've had multiple discussions with people about how Vigilantes at this point really isn't the type of series that you're meant to read chapter to chapter. I do, because I'm so in deep that I just need to know what's gonna happen next, but for the sake of the average reader, I honestly don't see a reason to at this point. And before you go record scratch, wait, what, Dan? What did you just say? No. I'm not discouraging people to stop reading Vigilantes. No, what I'm saying is, if you're somebody that enjoys binging manga, this is the perfect arc to binge. When the series first started, the Stendhal arc was one that was short, and it was one that we could look forward to week to week. The Naruhara War, it's probably meant to be read as an entire volume, or probably, 12, 13, and 14. And while we're on the topic of talking about volumes, me and Donut were actually talking about how many chapters are left in this particular arc. See, when you do the math and look at the volumes that have already come out, since we're at chapter 114, we're on volume 14 at this point. And if we use the current volume formula, that means that there's only 2 chapters left in the current volume, which sends me down several different universal pathways. There's the Vigilantes ends in the next 2 chapters right before the New Year scenario. There's the continuation route, where the Naruhara War ends 4 chapters into volume 15, and the last remaining chapters will be the wrap-up of the series. And that's 100% the route that I'm leaning more towards. This chapter is kind of showing us that number 6 is gonna get one last form before he dies or whatever happens to him. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but at this point, Koichi has kind of shown every single one of us that he's a very competent hero in his own right, and he's a hero absolutely deserving of being in the main title. Furuhashi does a fantastic job by reading My Hero Academia and weaving his story in and out of the crevices. With the most recent chapter, it's all but certain now that All Might will probably show up on scene. The minute that All Might shows up, All For One is going to leave. That's it. Game over. He's out. To be quite honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he blows up his asset on the way out. People have speculated that Koichi is going to have his quirks stolen by All For One, and eventually Deku is going to be able to steal and give quirks to people as well, giving Koichi back his quirk eventually. I think that's a little bit out there, but at the same time, it could be cool meeting a group of people that had their quirks stolen by All For One that eventually get them back and try to fight back against him. The one thing that I think all of us should be looking out for now at this point is the big dramatic irony getting ready to hit us us in the face, because as this series comes to an end, it's going to happen. And if anyone sees it coming, please let me know down below, because I gotta know whether or not Koichi is gonna turn out to be directly related to the current plot. It would be really interesting to know. But yeah, number 6 has kinda, overstood his welcome, I would say, as a villain. He wasn't really a Koichi villain to begin with. He kind of became a Koichi villain as he started, attacking Popstep and attacking his friends, kind of evolving into his arch nemesis at the same time. Because let's be real here, the minute that Koichi decided to become a vigilante and have Knuckle Duster become his teacher, number 6 began to breed a type of hatred within himself that could come at Koichi over a span of 4 years and try to ruin his life and kill him at the end of it. Which in a way directly correlates to the current situation in My Hero Academia, where All For One found out that he needed enough hatred in his heart for somebody to actually steal One For All. This could be that moment. This could be the moment where he gets that inspiration. But I'm gonna say this right now. If this particular moment right here is not the end for number 6, I am throwing my hands up in the air and wondering what the hell is going on. He started out like this, became this, and now is this. Oh yeah, I forgot. Somewhere in between that and that, he became this. So let's just end the arc with a nice little bow on it instead of dragging it out to encompass another volume. Like, at this point, what is next? Number 6 doesn't need All Might to show up and punch him in the face. He's just gonna, burn up and die? I don't know what's next. Is All Might gonna go after Koichi? Like, that's the only thing I could possibly think of. Koichi essentially won this fight because the person going after him tried to use so much power he literally burnt up in the process. Narrative aside, Betancourt has not slowed down whatsoever. With the citizens of Naruhata looking up and watching Koichi defend the city, there was nothing like it. But the one thing that it did show us throughout this chapter was the fact that the bomber villains did take out Edgeshot and Genium and all of them as well. You even see Aizawa reeling from his wounds. They didn't show you a bunch of the other heroes, but they did show you Eraserhead to show you that Eraserhead beat the shit out of every single one of those Anons. But to be quite honest, it looks like they had a little bit of a tougher time than Koichi did. I do gotta say, the one thing that made me kind of happy during this chapter was seeing the news crew show up and kind of giving Koichi the credit that he deserves. He's out here thinking of it like, oh great, the heroes are gonna show up and I'm finally gonna get some assistance. And I think of it as, oh, people are gonna finally know that you are one hell of a hero, dude. I know it's cheesy, but at the same time, I really do think that it's possible that the end of this fight could result in All Might showing up and possibly having to try to apprehend Koichi. That would be pretty awesome if Koichi's final stand is that he has to run away from All Might. It would also be kind of sad because at the same time you would have Koichi who is wearing All Might's sweater in homage of him because he's so inspired by him. Like, the sheer duality of that situation is heartbreaking. All Might is Koichi's inspiration for even trying to become a hero. So if we had to look at All Might from the point of view of that of an antagonist, that would be absolutely wild. Kind of like how Endeavor looked like an antagonist. Actually, let's be real, Endeavor was a straight up antagonist. Pretty much every single hero that's been incorporated into the Vigilantes plot has had a moment where they have to tackle with their morals and deal with the Vigilante, debating whether or not these are the good guys and they should be helping them. Also, I do think it would kind of put things into perspective for Koichi if All Might shows up trying to bring him in. I will say that the next chapter has to be the end of this fight. If it is not the end of this fight, I do not know how they will extend this any further because they've already gone pretty far out there to extend this fight. I remember when the war first started and I was like, oh man, I don't know whether or not the Naruhata War is going to live up to the hype of being a war arc and drag on to be a war arc, and here we are in the middle of a war arc. Anyway, let me know how you felt about chapter 114. Do you think that the fight between number 6 and Koichi is dragging on a little too much? Also, did you see that the invisible girl was going to be the traitor at the end of My Hero Academia? Because I totally did. I've been saying it for weeks. I've been saying it for months. I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it since like 2014. I know, I have completely jumped off topic at this point, but look, make sure you're back here tomorrow before those spoilers come out and everybody goes to the internet panicking. Because I got some choice words for all them doubters out there. So until next time, I'll catch y'all later. Cheers.